Good morning, everybody. Hey, Jay, how's it going today?
It is Friday. We have sun, and we got JVology Live coming up. So if we add all those three things together, and a couple of crazy kids and a crazy dog and all of those sorts of things, it's pretty damn good. How about you?
Pretty damn good, absolutely. Yeah, got the sun shining out here today as well, and a whole lot of excitement leading up to JVology Live. I assume everybody who's seeing this knows us. I'm Krista, the Director of Member Success here at JVology, here with our fearless leader and founder, Jay Fissette, and we want to come in to you and let you know how to really maximize the event, what to do to prepare, and what how to show up over this next couple of days, because it's an incredibly valuable time. First of all, we really appreciate and respect that you're clearing your calendar for 3.5 days. That in and of itself is huge, and we honor that big time. We promise to bring in value.
We should just jump right on that, because honest to goodness, you just hit the nail on the head about the single most significant #1 way in the universe to get the most out of the event, which is to actually show up there. Like that whole setting the schedule aside, exactly as you just said, Krista, is one of those things that for me, I'm always, I think sometimes people think that, oh, it's just one of those quick little networking things. I can like drop in and drop out and show them. Here's the truth of the matter. You can, but well, I'll just tell the story. I was asking, it's like, so our high level summit, the JVology Summit, these are, folks doing strong 6 figures, many of them 7 figures. There was a particular gentleman who registered 2 times. And after the second time he pulled this, I had to say, don't come back here. And the truth is this: he's a doctor, really smart, on call. So I know he's got some timing issues that most of us as entrepreneurs who control our time utterly, completely don't have. I 1000% get that there's some additional complications. But, it's 2.5 days of high-level relationship building.
Yes.
It's one of those spaces where it's no pitch, it's no sponsors, none of those sorts of things. And he would show up to do his JV invitation and then leave. And it's like, well, nobody gives a hoot about your JV invitation. We're trying to get to know you and to build a relationship. So, that whole thing about actually being there is the single most important. Like if everybody just did what you just said, the results would be through the roof.
Exactly. And the other problem with the popping in and out is, well, first of all, Jay's a super fast talker, if you haven't noticed. So he packs a lot of training into a short period of time, and then throws people into the breakout room with a specific agenda. And they're going back and forth and back and forth. And you know what it's like when you pop out of an event and then you come in, and of course, when you get there, the Zoom room is empty because people are in their breakout rooms, and now you've lost the connection. You don't know what's happening, and you're feeling lost. So as much as you can over the next couple of days, clear anything that you had outstanding that was, still kind of hanging over those 3 days, so you can fully commit to yourself the same way you would do back in the days when we were in person and we would all fly into the same hotel and just really be in that same space together. That is, I think, the #1 tip to succeed in this event.
I wholeheartedly agree. And we've launched a new program called InStream, and we had a really fantastic, I'm just going to pause for a brief moment and ask a tech question and see if you can help me. I'm trying to share this on my actual page from the JVology Live page, but that does not appear to be working particularly well. Like there's no, it just says like, comment, there's no share button. So I just copy the URL, I guess, is the easiest route.
For this for this broadcast?
Yeah.
Huh. I'm trying to find it too.
I'm just gonna, so gang, if you're just joining us, we're just-
I have a share button. Where do you want it to go?
I was just going to put it on my main page, but I have copied the link and I'm in the process of doing it now. Let's just see if that's going to work real quick. It seems to be, yes, it does. Yay. Okay. It's a weird thing because I kept thinking, I was like, I'm looking in the wrong spot or I'm doing something wrong. I couldn't quite figure it out exactly.
All right, I'm sharing a couple places too. those of you that are here and you're getting the email, you've signed up, you have your ticket, and you're part of the roadmap, you can really see the love and the care that Jay puts into preparing everybody for the event. It's not just about, show up and we'll take it from scratch. If you will actually open and read those email and take action, watch the video, it doesn't take a lot of time. It will get you in such a better frame of mind. When you get there, you're going to understand more about what JVs are, more about what you are doing, why you're there, getting more clarity on your business, even having better questions to ask. And then as you go into the Facebook group and comment in there and read other people's posts, you're going to get to know people. We've got a super solid community of people who are doing joint ventures together, as well as just supporting, and they're friends, they hang out. And we want to make sure that if you are new, that our community knows you. And then if you're in our community, we want you to go out and find out who's new so that you can make them feel welcome when they come in, because you get a lot faster diving in if you don't wait until day 3 to know people, but you walk in day 1 already feeling connected.
And honest to goodness, gang, that makes such a monumental difference. And what we find, and people say this all the time, and I think it's in large part due to the tremendous job that you do with customer care, that you and Victoria handle all sorts of things. We have people say time and again, it's like I found my family. And honest to goodness, gang, that is exactly what transpires, because our emphasis in this process is relationships, which is why when we started, it's like, if you're going to show up, show up. Don't do the drop-in piece. Don't do any of those, what I'm going to call hacks. I actually I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and it was like, well, is there a hack to get at this faster? And my response is, like, as a generalization, hacks are for hacks. Mm-hmm. It's like, particularly in the range of relationships. So like, we are not, we're not ClickBank, we're not JVZoo, we're not, copy and paste a link and hope somebody's going to buy something. The whole grounding around this event is for us to really, truly, genuinely understand each of our ideal clients' journey. And when we can understand our ideal client's journey, what occurs is that out of a sea of entrepreneurs is that 5, 10, 15 people really rise to the top. And it's like, those folks serve exactly my ideal clients, and they just solve a different problem for them. So there's an opportunity for us to work together if we can build a relationship. And the same holds true for once I'm done with them. It's like, if I do my magic trick and solve their problem, now they have other things. And how do those folks stand up to serve my ideal clients, because they're theirs as well? And gang, I just can't say clearly enough that while that sounds simple, it takes a level of strategy, distinction, discernment, relationship building, understanding your business, understanding other people's business to really knock that out of the park. It was just, in this in-stream thing we were doing this week, Krista, which, honest to God, I just really love it.
Blown away. And these are professionals that have been with us for a while. Like, they've heard all your stuff. And all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, it landed at a new level. And the really cool thing is, I'm hearing from everyone that they're approaching this JVology Live with a whole new level of certainty, of knowing what they're after and who they're going to connect with. So there's a whole level of clarity that's come into play from that in-stream workshop where now people are like, hey, I'm playing at a different level now.
Yeah. And in fact, I saw Mr. James. Hey, James Lamb, good to see you, brother. I'm going to I got to get my, and by the way, gang, if you're watching this video from, if you're watching this video from a different page where we've shared it, just click on the video and it'll take you over to the broadcast page. And then when you post in, when you post in the
comments, we can see you.
It's like I have a brain that's just not accessible to me at this moment, is what it appears like. In the comments, then we can see them and we can reply. And Paige just said, we are Mercury in retrograde. Electronics can be affected, as can my brain, quite clearly. That's so funny, James, you beat me to it. And my dear sister, the astrologist, is going to be here watching the kids this weekend. So we'll see how Mercury and Gatorade affects that entire process. Let's recap just a couple of quick things. Is that in terms of getting the most out of JVology Live, the top of the list is absolutely show up, set the time aside and show up. To me, the next piece about this is get really, really, really clear about your upstream and your downstream. And I'll just say it for those of you who might not understand it yet, get really clear about who else serves your ideal client and who serves them before they need you, and how can you help them get served after you deal with them. And we'll explain that in great depth and detail, and you will absolutely leave with partners. But Chris, you also alluded to something that I think is really significant, which is we do this thing called the JVology Roadmap. And the roadmap consists of these 12 videos that just get your sort of head and heart aligned to how to, number one, prepare yourself, prepare your business, and be grounded to take advantage of it. You lead the coaching calls so that people get actual live in-person support leading into that process. And if there was one thing that people could do, quite frankly, on their own to get the most out of it, it would be to actually engage with, watch those little videos. What are they? 5 minutes, 7 minutes, something like that. Ahead of the event. One of our dear community members, Debbie Hoffman, said to me that those 12 videos were worth more to her than an entire year membership that she paid for at another JV community. So it's not.
They really are. They're really, really valuable. I was leading the Q&A call yesterday, and I gave them all a tip, which I'll give all of you who are watching. Yesterday was day 8. Do not miss the day 8 email. You will be lost if you go in and you're not clear on what that is, because it is how to do a JV invitation. And there's a template that you can follow, and it's simple. However, you want to be able to do this ahead of time, work on it, have it in front of you, so you're not trying to think it off the top of your head when you get into breakout rooms. So don't miss day 8 for the JV invitations.
It's an incredibly big deal. And I'll also give, just one other hint. Even people who've been at the process of building JVs for a while sometimes have, it just happens. Most of us are pretty excited about talking about our products, our services, our experiences, the thing that we want to bring to the world, the thing that we want to make a difference with, the thing that we're driven and passionate about. And sometimes what happens is that we fall into the retail conversation. And what that means, gang, is instead of having this peer-to-peer conversation, it's like, look, I'm interested in having your product, services, and experiences come and talk to my tribe. Or you're interested in having my product, services, and experiences come talk to your tribe. That's a different conversation than it's like, hey, want to buy my shit? And it's like, and I'm exaggerating as a smartass, obviously. But this JV invitation that Krista is referring to, the structure of it, honest to goodness, the whole purpose of it, in the clear sense, is to keep us from falling into a retail conversation, which just happens over and over and over again. Because that's
what we're used to doing. What we do. Yes. That's what networking is. That's the old school way of doing things. And so it's okay, because that's what you're used to. We got to break that habit and help you create a new way of delivering an invitation that is, I love when you use the fishing analogy. Mm-hmm. You're networking, you're fishing for one fish at a time, trying to just, here's my stuff, will you take the bait? Whereas what we do at JVology is align with captains of other ships who have all of the nets, and they have their tribe, and they have their fish, and they have everything. And you're having a conversation from captain to captain about everything that they already have. And so that is a very different conversation than just simply throwing it out there one at a time, looking for a single client.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. Now, so we've covered 3 of what I think are 3 of the biggest pieces as well. I'm gonna do something that I normally don't actually talk about too much until people get there, but I think it's worth mentioning, which is this idea that most people don't show up at an event as themselves. It's kind of like most people also, don't show up on their Facebook profile as truly themselves. It's like, here's the highlight reel, or a dating app or any of those sorts of things, right? Is that don't send a reasonable facsimile of yourself and your business to JVology. Show up as all of who you are. And I'll just foreshadow that one of the very first things that we do at the event is that we help people to self-identify where they are sort of in the evolution of their business for joint ventures. And we have 3 categories. And I want to be clear about this. The 3 categories have no judgment or stigma attached. They're just 3 different pathways and 3 different ways to pursue building joint ventures. And the first of which is eager and willing. And those are the folks that are still trying to actually figure it out a little bit. Like, what the hell do I sell? How much should I charge? I have a business, but it's not reliable. Like, clients show up, but I don't have a system that generates them on a consistent, regular basis. I don't have 10 plus testimonials. It's in the infancy. So eager and willing. And honest to goodness, I love the eager and willing folks, because those are the folks that have the courage to throw their hat in the ring, and they're really working on trying to figure it out. And many of the eager and willing, by the way, are smarty pants and a half. And if you give them 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, you'll be eating their dust, is the honest goodness truth. So you should never, ever, ever, ever dismiss the eager and willing. So there's eager and willing, then there's ready and refined.
Can I just interject on that one real quick?
Please.
The interesting thing with most of our eager and willing is they have years of experience in the work that they do. You know, they're highly educated or successful in running their business. It's just that now they're shifting into a new model, and the model is what's new, and that's what makes them into this category of eager and willing. They could be brilliant in whatever lane that they're in, but this business structure is what's new. And so we appreciate that and respect, where they are, whether it's switching into online, whether it's going from a face-to-face practice into a consultancy, whether it's going from an agency into a coaching practice. There's a lot of transitions that we see people wanting to make or just starting to make, but they haven't quite nailed down what that looks like. And so that puts you in the eager and willing category, just because you haven't nailed down the new business structure, regardless of how brilliantly experienced you are in the work that you do.
You know who that makes me think of, actually, is Ivana.
Sheena's on there going, eager and willing here. Yes, Coach Sheena is a perfect example of that.
Perfect. And I so love that. So I'm thinking of Ivano. So I first meet Ivano, and he's it's obvious he's a very smart man. He's also pretty humble. It's like, well, I've sort of mastered the financial freedom thing, and I've have helped my children become millionaires and all those sorts of things. I'm going to just take that to a larger scale. But he's very, I would say he's kind of like the Canadian humble guy, right? And it's like, well, I'm eager and all the rest of it. So we started doing coaching together, and I discover he's had a lifelong career as a dentist. So first of all, he's a doctor. Not only is he a doctor, but he has actually been teaching and educating people at some of the university of training or whatever the heck it is where you get your dentist degree. I don't know how the hell that works exactly, to be perfectly frank, but he's also an educator in that domain. And he also has a flooring and carpet business that's been existing for like 25 years. Like, the guy is an entrepreneurial freaking wizard.
How randomly different are those businesses? Yeah,
just sort of figuring it out a little. And it's like, so this is the thing that I always think is so important, is that when we can self-identify where we're really at with this present business, do not underestimate the power, the wisdom, the intellect, the reach, the connections, all the things in that domain. And I see people who are what I'm going to call more transactional in nature. It's like, hey, how big's your list? And by the way, that's probably a pretty good leading with that is probably a pretty good way to not do well at our event. Yes, that was a better.
Yeah.
Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Exactly. Anyway, and by the way, it's a fine question when the relationship is built and we understand what we're doing with one another. It's just a ridiculous question to lead with. So anyway, yeah. In fact, Sheena just said, "Love Ivano. He's a smart and humble man." Yeah, that's an understatement of the universe. So this whole eager and willing category is unbelievably rich in terms of opportunity, in terms of connection, in terms of co-creation. And in many cases, and I mean this in all seriousness, lots of folks who sort of have a business up and running are going to eat those folks' dust. So there's eager and willing. Then there's ready and refining. Ready and refining is, I have it all working. I have a system, it works. I have a conversion process, it works. I have a product service experience, it works. I have testimonials and raving fans, it works. Like all those sorts of things. And I want to make it better. I need more traffic. I need to get better opt-ins. I need to have my email open rates better. I need to, because this is a constant evolution. And then we have what we would call the experienced pros. Anyway, my point in going through all of that is this, is that when you show up as who you are and where you're at. And what you will find is that the community will open their hearts, they will open their support for you. There is one of the most amazing places for a hand up of if you happen to be an eager and willing or ready and finance, those sorts of things. Sometimes it's just the easiest, like, hey, like, you know what, please do this. You know, I'm thinking of James when he and I were having the conversation after his first launch, like, hey, we could just adjust this in this manner and it will make a significant difference. And of course it does. So the only thing that blocks that is people showing up in ego, people showing up in, I'm going to call it exaggeration, people showing up inauthentically. That just doesn't work here.
Well, I think that comes from that pattern of networking. We're like, well, I'm just here for the minute, so I got to look like my best, hottest self, and I'm going to change a card, and then they're going to call me because I was so great, for this one event. But that's not. We're here to build relationships, and we have a community that's ongoing, and we're growing together. So we're training, we're learning, and we're engaging in joint ventures.
Yeah. And I was just, I think you're right about that. That whole, it's like, I've got a minute, so I've got to like,
razzle dazzle you with how fabulous. Everything's so great. Got it all together. Exactly as Chris said, we have some time together. And just to be clear about this, you are going to spend a significant amount of time in the 3 days in breakout sessions, practicing your JV invitation, getting real-time feedback where people goes like, that's awesome, I want that. Or it's like, I don't really quite understand that, I'm not really sure what's going on here. But you will have enough time to practice, edit, adapt, apply feedback that you will leave with podcast bookings, you will leave with webinar swaps, you will leave with Facebook Live swaps, you will leave with email support, you will leave with launch supporters, you will leave with an inordinate amount of support. And that is the key that I want people to really prepare themselves for. And that takes me to really my last point, which I have to go because I've got one of our flow members for coaching in a moment or two. But here's the last point to get the most out of this, is that this is not a drive-by. You know that train song, this is not a drive-by? Yes. This makes me think of that, because the 3 days is the beginning of the connection. You need to spend and set probably another 3 days to 5 days after, a couple hours a day, to actually follow up, do deeper exploration, set up times and dates, get clear agreement about what the JVs are going to look like and all of those pieces. So like if you drive through without the follow-up, it's just, that's that, it's done, it's over. There's nothing that's going to really make a difference for you. But if you utilize this properly of, hey, these are the 10 people that I think are my upstream that they could send clients to me. These are the 10 people I think I could send clients to. And I'm going to dedicate my time to discovering if that's true and how we can work together. The gold is not in the meeting or the appointment. The gold is in making certain that follows through and actually happens. And that to me is where, frankly, most people who come to JVology Live are a part of our ongoing community. And if you're not, you should be a part of our ongoing community. So on that note, I got to run and see our dear friend Amy. Sounds great. Well, nice. I hope everyone took these points to heart. We're really, truly, sincerely excited to have you, whether this is your 5th time or your first time. It's always a new experience for everybody. And we're really happy to have you.
Great. Good to see you, Krista. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye.